I went to the cardiologist July this year, 2024. And the last time the cardiologist saw me, I was obviously in hospital having these horrible rapid responses and autonomic nervous system malfunctions. And my when I had the heart attack, I was told that I was in what you would call heart failure because I only had 45% function. And so I thought, no, I don't really want to, not that I didn't want to know about that. I just didn't want to buy into that. I just thought, no, that's not going to be my scenario, my outcome. So I went fast forward just in July 2024, as I said, and I walked in and he took one look at me and just went, wow, you look amazing, gave me a big hug. I had cardio echo done. My heart had gone from 45% function to a 100% healed. So my heart is now functioning at 100%. I wore a Holt monitor for 4 days, could not find anything wrong, no ectopic heartbeats, no irregular heartbeats, um, completely normal. And I got a green tick, and I don't have to see the cardiologist for another 12 months. So that was just brilliant news. So I just so grateful, and I'm just, every day is just attitude of gratitude. It's just extraordinary how it's made such a huge difference. I think it saved my life. I wouldn't be without it, and I just think that everybody should know about augmented NAC. So my name is Megan. I live in Sydney, Australia, on the Northern Beaches. And prior to having the COVID vaccine, I was a healthy 50, mid 50-year-old, loving life. Really enjoyed walking a lot, being outdoors. Health was everything to me. I had a very sort of strict diet and did a lot of exercise. And I work as a nurse in a hospital. So in 2021, in June, I had my first COVID vaccine. It was Pfizer, and I had a reaction to the first Pfizer vaccine where I had chronic fatigue, lots of dizziness, reduced appetite, and it took me about 3 weeks to get over the first dose of the COVID vaccine, the Pfizer one. Then in July, so 4 weeks later, I had the second dose. Um, Felt the same, felt worse. Took me another 4 weeks to get over it. And because I work as a nurse, it was mandatory for me to have those two vaccines. But I also had to have a third one because I had to have a booster shot. So the following year, 2022, February 14th, I went and had my third vaccine. And I was very, very nervous about having it because of the reactions that I had before. And I remember the doctor saying to me, like, you'll be fine. You've had two um, sort of moderate reactions. You'll be okay with the third one. So I was like, okay. So I had the third one, and the same thing happened to me. And I also had a reaction with the third one where underneath my armpit, all of my lymph nodes were really, really swollen. And then down on my sort of around my groin area in the lymph nodes were really swollen as well. Lots of stomach pain. And then I got a little bit better. I went back to work. And then it's always around about that week 3. Um, I was taking the dog for a walk and I was going to work. I was on the afternoon shift, and all of a sudden I just felt really dizzy, tachycardia. My heart was thumping out of my chest. I didn't know what was going on, and I ended up going to the ED department, and my blood pressure was like 225 over 125. My resting heart rate, which is normally about 54, 55, was now at about 150, 160. And I just really didn't know what was going on. And so they diagnosed me with POTS. So I've had this postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. So I stayed about a week in hospital. Every time I tried to move, I was just getting severe tachycardia, but nobody put it down to the vaccine. Doctors were like, I really don't know what's wrong with you. Just sort of go home. And that was about it. So I went home, and then for 2 months, I struggled really, really badly. And so I remember one day I was on the lounge and I fell asleep. I was just exhausted, and I woke up. It was in the middle of the afternoon. And I just went into this full-blown tachycardic event. And I had that for probably 6 hours. And I just thought, I can't do this any longer. I just can't do it. So I went back to hospital to the ED, and they had to put me on beta blockers to just help my pulse, just to regulate my pulse. So I was put on beta blockers, and that did help control my pulse. And so I came home, and but it didn't sort of control any other symptoms. I still had all the numbness, the chronic fatigue. I had lost so much muscle mass. I'd lost 20 kilos. I was just this, I don't know, I don't know, a shell of my former self. One of the problems that I had neurologically was if I tried to speak, if I tried to look at a phone, if I tried to have a conversation, um, couldn't spend any length of time on the computer, I would just get this head crush. It was like my head was in a vice and being crushed. So basically, I had to have sort of very, very low stimulation. After 2 weeks after having COVID, I didn't know that it was going to flare up all of the vaccine injury all over again. I just felt something wasn't right within my heart. And then I just got all of this really bad, intense back pain. And then I just got this massive, massive amounts of adrenaline. And I just said, I think you need to phone an ambulance. So we phoned an ambulance. And the long and the short of it was I was rushed to hospital, and I had to go straight into cath lab. And I spent 3 hours in a cath lab awake, because you're awake. And they had to put they put these wires up through your wrist and into my heart, and they had a look, and apparently I'd had a massive heart attack, and I had to have two stents put in. Cardiologist was talking to me saying that I might have to do open heart surgery, and at that point, I mean, you can't move, you're laying there, you cannot move. But I just had tears coming out down my face, thinking, oh my God, please. So anyway, he managed, amazing man. He just kept trying. And anyway, I stayed probably a week in hospital. I came home, and then I went back to hospital 5 times in an ambulance because my nervous system was not coping. It not only did I have all of the vaccine injury symptoms back again, I only had heart function of about 45%. I had heart damage. And so I was thinking, wow, what does my future hold? And then I got COVID from my son in late November, early December. And same thing happened. I got through COVID. COVID was fine. And about 2 to 3 weeks later, I started to get all that adrenaline, all of the symptoms again. Everything had come back again. I thought, oh my God, here we go again. So I went back to hospital in an ambulance. I stayed in hospital for 3 weeks because I had to have IV metoprolol and IV diazepam just to manage these horrible attacks that I was having. My whole autonomic nervous system was just malfunctioning. There for 3 weeks, I finally got stabilized. I came home, and I thought, I can't keep doing this. I've got to come up with some sort of plan. There's got to be something I can do to help me. This is just sort of getting a bit ridiculous. And no doctor could come up with a plan for me. They didn't know how to treat me. So I was on the computer one day. I came home from hospital, and I was on YouTube, and I stumbled upon a talk with an English doctor called Dr. Tina Pierce. And she was talking about destroying the spike protein and long COVID. And she was talking about augmented NAC, and I'd never heard of it. I'd heard of NAC before, but not augmented NAC. And it came from Italy, and there was a whole study that the Italians had done, and I just thought, what have I got to lose? Maybe about the 3rd or 4th of January 2024, I started taking Augmented NAC. I started off taking one a day, then I increased it to two a day um, for 3 months. And within, I would say, 3 to 4 days, I was sitting in the bath, and all of a sudden, I was just sitting in the bath, just contemplating life. And I noticed that the only way I can describe it, after 3 or 4 days of taking Augmented NAC, I just felt like my brain was starting to light back up again, that somebody was back home in my brain. Because every time I get these really horrible symptoms with the COVID vaccine stuff, it's like I'm disappearing down a long tunnel. That's the only way that I can describe it. My brain, it's just it's like you're going down a long dark tunnel, and you've got no control over it, and you can't come out of it. And I felt within 3 to 4 days that I was starting to come back out of that tunnel, and that my brain was starting to light up. And I thought, that's interesting. I was back working. I think the first week that I came back to work, I worked full time, and I was able to concentrate for 8 hours straight without any head crush or headaches or any sort of nervous system malfunctions, no tachycardia events. I have been taking the Augmented NAC for 12 months now. So if we fast forward 12 months, I am now doing 12-hour shifts back at the hospital. I'm not getting head crush at all. I can concentrate. I no longer get the chronic fatigue or crashing or burning out. I actually feel strong. I feel have a lot more energy. And I'm actually back. My brain actually feels like I'm back pre-COVID vaccine. I've actually got myself back. I went to the cardiologist July this year, 2024. And the last time the cardiologist saw me, I was obviously in hospital having these horrible rapid responses and autonomic nervous system malfunctions. And my when I had the heart attack, I was told that I was in what you would call heart failure because I only had 45% function. And so I thought, no, I don't really want to, not that I didn't want to know about that. I just didn't want to buy into that. I just thought, no, that's not going to be my scenario, my outcome. So I went fast forward, I went to the cardiologist in July 2024, as I said, and I walked in and he took one look at me and just went, wow, you look amazing, gave me a big hug. I had cardio echo done. For those who don't know what a cardio echo is, it's a ultrasound of your heart. And my heart had gone from 45% function to a 100% healed. So my heart is now functioning at 100%. I wore a Holt monitor for 4 days, could not find anything wrong, no ectopic heartbeats, no irregular heartbeats, um, completely normal. And I got a green tick, and I don't have to see the cardiologist for another 12 months. So that was just brilliant news. So I just so grateful, and I'm just, every day is just attitude of gratitude. Yeah, it's just extraordinary how it's made such a huge difference. I think it saved my life. I wouldn't be without it, and I just think that everybody should know about Augmented NAC. Anybody out there who is really struggling at the moment, who feels that like you're not going to get any better, that there's no hope, believe me, I've been there. I have been so bad that, yeah, I've had to spend 3 months just laying flat on my back, twice around, not able to even unpack the dishwasher without sitting on a chair. Just sort of going from that to just loving life, getting my life back, feeling healthy and well, and being able to work and to travel and to do all the things that I used to do beforehand, before vaccine injury, is just a huge blessing. So hang in there. Things will get better. I promise you. You're worth it. Baby steps. Just keep going.